The calendar flips, fireworks fade, and most people lie to themselves with new language for the same weakness. Machiavelli would not call this a fresh start. He would call it a public confession of failure. Picture the scene. Midnight, phones glowing, promises typed with shaking thumbs, diets, discipline, new morals, new you. All announced to people who gain nothing from your success and quietly profit from your collapse. You mistake hope for strategy. You mistake intention for power. That is the first error. The new year is not a gift. It is an audit, a brutal one. It exposes what you did not finish, what you tolerated, and who managed you while you thought you were choosing. Machiavelli understood something modern people refuse to face. Time does not reward virtue. It rewards leverage. The year does not care what you meant to do. It only responds to what you made costly to ignore. Look at how people actually start January. They talk more. They explain more. They promise more. They seek witnesses. This is not commitment. This is insulation against responsibility. When you announce change, you borrow approval to delay action. The mechanism is simple. Power hates noise. Noise creates observers. Observers create pressure. Pressure collapses weak structures. That is why most resolutions die quietly by February. They were built for applause, not endurance. Machiavelli would never begin with goals. He would begin with territory. What controls you? Who drains you? Where you leak time, money, attention, and reputation. Before you add anything, you amputate. By the end of this, you will not feel motivated. That is irrelevant. You will understand how a prince enters a new year. Silent, underestimated, already in motion. You will see why announcing change is the first betrayal, why discipline must be invisible, and why the long game begins by frightening your own excuses. This is not reversible knowledge. Once you see how the year is really won, you cannot go back to rituals meant to comfort the herd. We begin the procedure now. January is when weak systems reveal themselves. Look at what people do in the first weeks. They overcorrect, they wake up early, post proof, announce discipline, talk about consistency. This is not strength. This is panic. Panic that their old habits will pull them back unless the crowd is watching. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. A prince who needs witnesses to behave is already ruled. The entry wound is simple. You start the year trying to add before you subtract. New habits stacked on rotten foundations. New goals layered on old dependencies. You don't build power this way. You bury it. The hidden mechanism is exposure. Every time you announce change, you place your intent outside the fortress. Now it can be judged, doubted, sabotaged, and mocked. Even support is dangerous. Support creates expectation. Expectation creates pressure. Pressure forces premature performance. A disciplined man does not perform. He executes. Humans respond to incentives, not declarations. When you tell people you are changing, you feel progress without paying the cost. Dopamine replaces discipline. Your brain marks the task as partially done. Hunger disappears. That is why silence feels uncomfortable. Silence offers no reward until results exist. Machiavelli wrote for men who survived courts, not comment sections. He understood appearance versus reality. Appear unchanged, be unchanged long enough that enemies relax. Meanwhile, reality shifts under the surface. The new year is a siege, not a celebration. The first move is to starve the invaders. Identify what drains you daily and remove access. Conversations that go nowhere. Favors that buy nothing. Digital noise that fragments attention. These are not small leaks. They are open gates. Do not announce withdrawal. Withdrawal announced becomes negotiation. Negotiation invites manipulation. You do not explain reduced availability. You enforce it with silence and delay. Replies slow. Presence narrows. Excuses disappear. This alone will change how people treat you. Here is what not to do. Do not tell people you are focusing this year. Do not tell them you are cutting back. Do not tell them you are busy with something important. Importance explained loses weight. Importance demonstrated creates gravity. Picture two men in January. One posts gym photos at dawn. The other says nothing, misses a few gatherings, answers messages hours later, and looks unchanged. 6 months later, only one is feared. Not for his body, for his absence. Failure to do this has a cost. When you announce transformation, you become managed. People remind you of your words. They test you. They wait for inconsistency. The first slip becomes a verdict. You taught them to watch you. Machiavelli warned that a prince must avoid contempt. Nothing breeds contempt faster than visible struggle. When people see you fighting yourself, they learn where to push. The tactical shift is boring and brutal. You remove stimulation before you add structure. Less talking, fewer plans, narrower circles. Your calendar becomes empty before it becomes valuable. This feels like loss. It is not. It is clearance. A short scenario. At work, January arrives with meetings about goals. Others speak. You listen. You commit to nothing publicly. You deliver one clean result by the end of the month. No explanation. No narrative. The frame shifts. You are no longer aspirational. You are operational. If you ignore this chapter, the year will manage you. You will spend it reacting, justifying, restarting. January will feel heavy. February will feel disappointing. March will feel familiar. That is the loop. Machiavelli would never enter a new year loudly. He would enter it empty, quiet, and unreachable. Because the first proof of power is not ambition. It is control. The second mistake of the new year is optimism. People think optimism is strength. Machiavelli saw it as negligence. Hope without preparation is an open gate. January fills with clean notebooks and clean lies. You tell yourself this year will be different because you want it to be. Wanting has never changed the balance of power. Systems do. The entry wound appears when resistance shows up. Fatigue, boredom, delay. The moment the calendar stops feeling symbolic and starts feeling real. This is where most people collapse, not because they are weak, but because they misread the enemy. The enemy is not laziness. It is friction. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. Machiavelli built strategy around this truth. A prince does not ask men to be virtuous. He makes disobedience expensive and obedience easy. You have been doing the opposite. You rely on willpower, which is volatile, emotional, and finite. You treat discipline like a moral trait instead of an engineering problem. The mechanism is simple. When a task requires constant self-command, it fails under stress. Stress always arrives. If your system depends on motivation, you have already lost. Machiavelli translated this into governance. He did not trust loyalty. He trusted structure, guards, laws, incentives, consequences. You need the same inside your own citadel. January should not be about pushing harder. It should be about removing choice. If you wake up each morning deciding whether to train, work, or focus, you are negotiating with a hostile force. Your tired mind is not an ally. It is a saboteur that trades your future for immediate relief. So you change the calculus. You design your environment so that not acting feels worse than acting. Clothes prepared, phone out of reach, work blocked into immovable hours, food that does not invite debate. These are not habits, they are constraints. Do not romanticize this. It is not inspiring, it is effective. A prince does not wake up and ask himself if he feels like ruling today. The machinery is already in motion. He steps into it or is crushed by it. Here is what not to do. Do not create long lists. Lists create the illusion of control. They also invite procrastination. Too many options weaken execution. You choose few actions and make them unavoidable. One physical discipline, one productive output, one enforced silence window. Everything else is optional noise. Consider a simple scenario. Two people want to write this year. One waits for clarity and time. The other blocks a daily hour, disconnects, and writes poorly. 6 months later, One has ideas. The other has leverage. Failure here has a specific cost. You begin to associate the new year with self-betrayal. Each skipped action becomes evidence. The mind keeps score. Confidence erodes quietly. Machiavelli warned that men judge you by results, not intentions. This includes the man you see in the mirror. The darker truth is this: every time you negotiate with yourself and lose, you teach your nervous system that your commands are optional. Over time, you become a state with no enforcement. Chaos follows. The tactic is ruthless, consistency enforced by design, not emotion. You do not ask if today is different. You make today irrelevant. This is why discipline done correctly looks boring from the outside. No announcements, no heroic effort, just absence, repetition, and time. If you ignore this chapter, optimism will betray you. You will feel hopeful and achieve nothing. That is the most dangerous state. Hope delays adaptation. Machiavelli would strip hope down to a tool, not a crutch. He would say this year is not won by wanting more. It is won by needing less will. The third failure of the new year is moral cleansing. People believe January erases December. That intention absolves behavior. Machiavelli would call this fantasy. Power does not reset. Reputation remembers. Look at how people talk in early January. New values, new standards, new ethics. They speak as if words can rewrite history, but the past does not disappear. It compounds. The entry wound appears when you try to act virtuous instead of strategic. You decide to be nicer, more patient, more understanding. You believe this makes you evolved. In reality, you have just lowered the cost of accessing you. Machiavelli understood reputation economics. Your treatment by others is not based on your intentions. It is based on the price of crossing you. When that price drops, usage increases. The mechanism is tolerance. When the year turns, people forgive more. They excuse more. They allow old behaviors to return under the banner of renewal. This is when boundaries decay. Humans test limits by nature, not maliciously, efficiently. If a boundary holds, they respect it. If it bends, they lean. If it breaks, they occupy. Machiavelli advised princes to set their terms early and enforce them once. Mercy delayed becomes weakness. Boundaries negotiated become optional. You should not begin the year by being softer. You begin by being clear. This does not mean aggression. Aggression signals instability. It means finality, short responses, fewer explanations, immediate consequences, calm enforcement. Here is where most people fail. They wait. They let patterns repeat because it is uncomfortable to interrupt them. They hope behavior will self-correct. It never does. A prince does not wait for disorder to exhaust itself. He intervenes when the first crack appears. Consider a common scenario. Someone disrespects your time. Late again. Apologies again. In January, you forgive. Fresh start. By March, you are resentful. By June, you are predictable. The cost of wasting your time is zero. The Machiavellian move is early and quiet. One absence, one missed opportunity, no speech, no anger, access removed. The lesson lands without noise. Failure to do this creates a long-term cost. You carry irritation. Irritation leaks through tone and posture. Others sense it and adjust, not in your favor. You appear weak and unstable, not kind. Machiavelli warned against being hated, but he warned more strongly against being despised. Despised men are ignored until they are removed. The new year is when you reprice yourself, not with threats, with behavior. This requires you to abandon the fantasy of universal goodwill. Some people benefit from your confusion. Some depend on your availability. When you change the terms, they will resist. Resistance is not a sign of error. It is confirmation of leverage shifting. Do not explain your standards. Explanations invite debate. Debate implies equality. Equality destroys hierarchy. You show standards by enforcing them without ceremony. A short example: you stop answering messages during work hours. No announcement, no apology. Within weeks, people adapt or they disappear. Both outcomes are favorable. If you ignore this chapter, the year will fill with quiet resentment. You will feel busy but not respected, available but not valued. That is not a time problem. It is a boundary problem. Machiavelli believed that order must be established decisively, then maintained quietly. Disorder allowed to linger grows teeth. The beginning of the year is not about becoming better. It is about becoming harder to misuse. The fourth error of the new year is visibility. People believe progress must be seen to be real. Machiavelli knew the opposite. What is seen too early becomes a target. January turns private intent into public theater. Photos, announcements, declarations of discipline. You think visibility creates accountability? It creates surveillance. The entry wound opens when others start tracking you, not out of care, out of curiosity, envy, and opportunism. The moment your trajectory is visible, it invites interference. The mechanism is simple. Humans are competitive even when they pretend not to be. When you signal upward movement, you trigger unconscious recalibration. Some will race you, some will slow you, some will quietly place obstacles in your path. Machiavelli warned that a prince should conceal his designs, not because secrecy is noble, but because disclosure invites counterplay. In politics, war, and life, the unseen move lands cleanest. Visibility also corrupts discipline internally. When your effort has an audience, behavior shifts. You optimize for looking consistent instead of being effective. You choose safe actions that photograph well. Hard, necessary work becomes secondary. This is how people stay busy and go nowhere. A prince does not rule by broadcasting his strategy. He rules by surprising outcomes. January tempts you to document the process. Daily updates, progress trackers, shared with others. This feels responsible. It is not. It anchors your identity to unfinished work. Once you are known for trying, you are no longer feared for delivering. The tactic is deliberate invisibility. You do not disappear completely. That raises suspicion. You reduce signal. Fewer posts, fewer explanations, neutral responses. Your life becomes boring to observe. Boredom is armor. Consider a simple contrast. One person posts weekly about discipline and growth. Another goes quiet, misses events, declines invitations politely, and returns months later with changed leverage. One gains likes, the other gains position. Failure to do this has consequences. You invite commentary, advice you did not ask for, doubt disguised as concern, jokes that test your resolve. Each interaction drains energy and introduces friction. Machiavelli understood that influence travels fastest through absence. When you are not present to explain yourself, people speculate. Speculation magnifies. Silence lets others build myths for you. Speech corrects them downward. There is also a darker cost. When you broadcast struggle, you normalize it. You teach yourself and others that difficulty is part of your identity. This lowers expectations. Lower expectations cap outcomes. The Machiavellian approach is colder. You struggle privately. You bleed where no one can see. You present only finished movement. This does not mean lying. It means timing. A short scenario. You start a demanding project in January. You tell no one. When asked how things are going, you say, fine. Months later, the result appears. No build-up, no defense. Just fact. That moment carries weight because it arrives without warning. If you ignore this chapter, the year becomes crowded with voices. You will feel watched, judged, compared. Progress slows. Anxiety increases. You begin adjusting behavior to manage perception instead of reality. Machiavelli warned that a prince who depends on public favor becomes its prisoner. Today, public favor wears the mask of support. The new year should make you less visible, not more. Power grows fastest in the dark. The final trap of the new year is impatience. People expect January to feel different immediately. New routines should energize. New discipline should feel rewarding. When it doesn't, doubt enters. They conclude something is wrong. Machiavelli would recognize this as short-term thinking, disguised as ambition. The entry wound appears when you measure progress emotionally instead of strategically. You ask, do I feel better yet? Do others notice yet? Is this working yet? These questions poison long games. Power compounds quietly. It always feels stagnant before it feels inevitable. The mechanism is time horizon. Most people live inside weeks. A few operate inside years. The second group always defeats the first, not through intensity, but through patience backed by structure. Machiavelli wrote during exile, "No applause, no audience, no feedback loop." He understood that influence is built when nothing seems to be happening. January is dangerous because it creates artificial urgency. New year, new pressure. If results don't appear fast, motivation collapses. People abandon strategies that would have worked if left alone. A prince does not rush outcomes. He stabilizes position first. Only then does he expand. You must treat the year as terrain, not a race. The first months are for consolidation, strengthening routines, removing dependencies, hardening boundaries. None of this looks impressive. All of it is necessary. Here is where most fail. They change too much too fast. Diet, sleep, work, social life, values, the system overloads. One failure cascades into collapse. They call it burnout. It is poor sequencing. Machiavelli believed in decisive action, not chaotic action. He moved fast when the ground was prepared. He waited when it was not. The tactic is patience enforced by metrics, not mood. You track inputs, not outcomes. Hours worked, sessions completed, boundaries enforced, silence maintained. These are within control. Outcomes arrive later, they always do. Consider a long example. Two people restructure their year. One expects visible wins by March, the other commits to 6 months of unremarkable consistency. By April, the first is discouraged. By June, the second is dangerous. Dangerous because momentum has passed a threshold. Habits no longer require thought. Absence has recalibrated relationships. Work has accumulated quietly. At that point, stopping feels harder than continuing. Failure to wait creates a recurring cost. You train yourself to abandon plans before they mature. Your nervous system associates long-term effort with disappointment. Over time, you avoid ambition altogether. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the prepared, not the impatient. Fortune is not luck, it is timing. There is also a reputational dimension. People who restart often are not taken seriously, not because they lack talent, but because they reveal volatility. Stability commands respect. Volatility invites management. The Machiavellian New Year is boring by design. Days blur, progress feels flat. That is the signal that the machine is working. You do not seek inspiration. Inspiration creates spikes. You seek inevitability. If you ignore this chapter, you will spend the year chasing feelings instead of building position. You will mistake silence for stagnation and abandon strategies just before they compound. Machiavelli understood that the long game belongs to those who can endure the middle. The middle is quiet. It offers no praise, only pressure. The new year is not won in January. It is won by the man who is still executing when attention has moved on. If you followed this correctly, you didn't feel inspired. You felt stripped. That is the point. Machiavelli would not congratulate you for starting the year. He would ask what you removed, what you silenced, and who no longer has access to you. Because power does not begin with ambition. It begins with subtraction. You now see the pattern. Loud starts fail. Visible effort weakens. Optimism without structure collapses. Boundaries delayed rot. Impatience kills compounding. None of this is motivational. It is mechanical. The shift is not that you try harder. The shift is that you operate differently. Less explanation, less exposure, fewer choices, longer timelines. You stop asking if the year feels right and start making it irreversible. There is a warning here. This posture attracts projection. Some will call you cold, others will say you changed. They are correct. You did. You stopped performing hope and started building leverage. Do not let ego poison this. Power that needs recognition decays. Power that moves quietly accumulates. Stay unreadable, stay disciplined, stay patient. The long game punishes vanity and rewards control. If this altered how you think, understand this is the limit of what can be said publicly. Some procedures require privacy. Some maps only make sense once you've already crossed the first gate. If you want to continue this work, subscribe. If you want what is never said out loud, the deeper material exists elsewhere for those who already know the cost of seeing clearly. End the year differently by starting it correctly, silently,